Rudy Giuliani joins us, former mayor of New York City, now the president's personal attorney. Mr. Mayor, welcome back to Newsmax. How are you?
Nice to be with you, Greg. How are you?
Terrific, terrific. I hear that you and the president want a fourth debate with Joe Biden. You want it in early September, I think, before mail-in voting starts. Sounds reasonable. What's the status?
Well, of course it sounds reasonable, but so far the first crack at it with the commission is we're going to stick to our schedule. Now, the schedule that they have, of course, was set before we had all this early voting, right? 20, 30 years ago. And it was also, certainly wasn't during a time of a pandemic. And one of the solutions they gave us was, well, people could just wait and not vote until the very end, and then they can hear all the debates. But of course, that would screw up the whole purpose of trying to lighten up the number of people on election day, because we're going through the pandemic. So that indicates to me that these people are somewhere in, a 1970 mindset. I mean, the reality is, if they keep to their schedule, the first presidential debate will be after about 15% have voted. Second one about 30, and the last one maybe over 50 to 60%. That's just not fair. And it's not fair to say to people, wait, if in fact they're worried about, having to go there at a very crowded time.
All right, let's look at the footage.
Instead, the commission.
I got Mr. Mayor.
The commission should become modern and reasonable.
Modern and reasonable, yes, but you mentioned it is kind of a lethargic, now, 20, 30-year-old organization. I'd like to see some footage, please, from the 2016 debate, the Presidential Commission on Debates. I think they run the show, and everything is kind of planned years ahead of time, even before they know who the nominees are. Now, let's face it, Mr. Mayor, I mean, this is, I would imagine this is a political thing you got going here, because it doesn't really look like Joe Biden is equipped to show up for any debates. I mean, you hear what's going on the Democratic side. They're giving him cover to skip these things.
Well, I have to tell you, judging body language, my guess is that my Democrat counterparts are trying to figure out which is the biggest problem. Is it a bigger problem not to show up? Or is it a bigger problem to show up and have something really bad happen, which they can't spin their way out of? I mean, if they don't show up, the Times and the Washington Post and all the left-wing television networks, they'll all spin it somehow in his favor. It was a really smart thing for him not to show up because of COVID-19, or because he has to, save up his health so he's not asleep on election day. But they'll spin it, and you shouldn't debate with somebody like Trump because he's going to beat you, to a pulp. But if he gets up there in one of these four debates and he just can't remember for 2 minutes, then maybe the emperor really has no clothes. Maybe what we're seeing is real. Because we're seeing something. We're seeing something, Greg.
Yeah.
This is not a normal situation. There's something wrong with the man.
I mean, look, we all saw that. We played a clip earlier. 2 major gaffes in 5 minutes in a pretty low-pressure situation. And it was stunning to me that all the networks covered it up. They looked the other way. But when you got 50 million, 60 million people watching, you're not going to be able to cover that up. So I don't.
And that's it. I mean, from a political calculation point of view, that's a tough one.
I think they're going to find a way out of these debates. And you're right. The fake news is going to try to cover for them. You're going to have to. And that's going to be, by the way, a strategic challenge for you guys, because I do think that President Trump would beat Vice President Biden pretty handily. Could be really, really brutal, actually. All right, Mayor Giuliani, we appreciate it. To be continued, okay?
Absolutely, Greg.
All right.
Have a great night.
You too. We'll see what happens.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.